Hey there. Welcome to the first ever weekly show. I don't even know what I'm going to call this thing yet, but it's been something I've been thinking about for a while that I've wanted to put on. So some content specifically for YouTube and for a YouTube audience. And I know I want to put on a show and I want to talk about my entrepreneurial journey and kind of what I'm going through week to week, what I've got going on. Lessons I'm learning, struggles I'm having, observations I've had, funny stories, jokes of the week, book recommendations, kind of running the gamut. And it's going to be raw. I'm not going to put a lot of polished editing. At least I don't think so. So what you see is what you're getting. Like this is what it looked like when I recorded it. Like I'm going to straight up just chop the beginning and the end off. I'm going to leave any craziness that happens in for the foreseeable future, and I'll try to recover and pick it up as I go. So that's the gist of this. I want it to be different. I want it to be authentic. I want it to be genuine. And hopefully, it's interesting. First little tidbit. You'll hear I am struggling with a cold, and so all of the coughing fits and the runny nose and the stopped up noises are not sound effects. Those are actually happening in real life. So be aware of that. Secondly, let me just start with my story a little bit. So I started my entrepreneurial journey. You can look at it a couple different ways. You can say I started it 4 or 5 years ago when I started doing photography as a freelancer. Or you could say I started officially in the beginning of June of this year after I left my full-time teaching gig at a private high school here in St. Louis. Since that point, I've been doing a lot of work in photography, video, production, and editing, and writing. I've been also doing a lot of content creation for LinkedIn, and if you guys aren't on LinkedIn doing your thing, you're missing out. LinkedIn right now is, I like to call it the anti-social media. It's totally different than anything else that's out there. It's authentic. It's real. It values like quality of content over quality of production. So it's not all about flashy production. It's more about do the things you say make sense? Do they provide value to people? And if they do, like LinkedIn's where you want to be. The support, the community, it's incredible. So if you're not on there, get on it, right? Right. You might not know that yet, but definitely you want to get on there. It's amazing. So I've been doing a lot of content creation there, a lot of videos about just personal development stuff. And to be honest, I didn't expect that my videos would take that slant. I didn't. But I'm finding myself talking a lot about lessons I'm learning, struggles I'm going through, and how I'm working to overcome them right now. And that vulnerability and that insight into real life growth resonates with a lot of people because most people are on their own personal development journeys as well. And so talking about, guys, remember to do this, or if you run into this, think about how to respond in this way. Like that stuff is, people are finding it very valuable. And it's leading me into a different kind of a career, a different track of more brand strategy and consulting, and hopefully eventually speaking engagements and helping coach people. I've been a writer most of my life. Like my mom has spiral bound notebooks from when I was a little kid, where I was writing stories where I was like this Rambo ripped, like superhero ninja guy, just saving the day for everybody, saving the world over and over and over. And so she's got these books. And so like writing and telling these grandiose stories has always been something I've loved to do. And so storytelling, I guess over the years has come naturally. You know, it's really technically it's come from lots of practice, even though maybe that practice didn't feel like practice. I enjoyed it. But as a result, storytelling and seeing the stories behind brands, behind personal brands, behind events or their techniques or information and how to relate information into stories is something that I'm very good at. And as a result, I'm having opportunities to do that for companies, for individuals, and the opportunity to teach other people how to do it. It's really exciting. That's actually one of the things I'm working on right now is a storytelling course. I've got 19 lessons. I've got a whole crew of people that are wanting to beta test it and go through it with me. I'm going to keep that number very, very small. So there's going to be a lot of people that don't get the opportunity to, but hopefully they find value in the finished product once it's available. So that's something I'm working on. Other things I'm working on just this week has been really, really exciting because from an overarching perspective, I just had one or two little projects that I've had to finish up. Some more projects like video production stuff on the horizon. But I've had the opportunity to be on a guy named Roger Wilkerson. He does Bobby the Bear, and it's his character. And he talks about branding and marketing and strategy. And I got to be on his Bobby the Bear show. That'll be released later. And I also had the opportunity to be on my third or fourth podcast this week. The Out of the Cube podcast with George Evgen. And we got to talk a lot about just life and my stories some more and dig in. We talked for about an hour, and you can access that. I'll leave a link where you can access that podcast and the audio version. He's going to have it posted on YouTube as well, if I remember correctly. And then there are going to be short snippets later of just tidbits of information that we're going to pull out. But I had the opportunity to do that with him, and that was incredible. Get to dive in, and it's still humbling to be able to do podcasts and get to engage with an audience that I would have never otherwise engaged with. Yeah. So that was fun. And then tonight, today's Friday, I've got a branding and kind of a strategy for a video shoot next week that I'm really, really looking forward to. I got some writing to do. And that's pretty much my week. Lots of video editing, lots of writing, and lots of thinking about this show and what I want it to be. So I actually asked a good buddy of mine, John Carpenter, what to talk about. One of the things I do want to talk about, and I will probably come up with like fancy pants little like book review of the week stuff. I don't know. Like episodes within the show. I don't know what I'm doing. If you can't tell, this is all very off the cuff, and I'm sure it'll get better as I go. But like one of the most valuable lessons I've learned is you just have to start. You know, even if it's like kind of awkward and weird, much like this episode, you just have to start. Because what's it gonna hurt? Right? It's out there. I'm still providing value to people. I'm still talking about some things that I've learned, lessons I've learned, and I'm giving some insight into my journey. And people find that valuable. So I'm just going for it. That being said, I can only record on this camera for like 10 minutes at a time, and I can't believe I'm already at 9 minutes right now. So I'm going to pause and pick up with a book review. There it is. All right. So this book review is really an essay review. So this is, and super bright. There it is. All right. Seneca on the Shortness of Life. This is an essay. This book actually has 3 essays in it. But On the Shortness of Life is the first one I read. And it's funny, like I actually started going through like highlighting stuff. And like ended up highlighting so much and having like notes on so much stuff. I just stopped because the whole essay is incredible. But he's got a quote in here that I've been thinking about this week. And the quote is, "Life is short, but art is long." And that's really, really profound. It's crazy because Seneca died around 100 AD. So literally the things that he's talking about in this book are 2,000 years old. And the struggles people were having with human nature in like 80, 0 or 1 or 50 or 100 that he talks about, he could have written this book last week. It's wild that human nature has remained unchanged for so long. And we all complain. It's on the Shortness of Life, and it's talking about how, life is short, and everybody complains about how we don't have time for this, or we don't have time for that. And he's agreeing. He's like, life is short, but it's all about how you spend it. And that quote, "Life is short, but art is long," is incredible, because it's acknowledging that life goes by so quickly, but art develops slowly. And the lesson I'm taking from that, and I know there are countless ways that you can interpret this, but the lesson I'm taking from that is that we don't have the opportunity to hesitate. Like, if we're working on something or we're wanting to accomplish something in our lives, we can't complain. We can't wait for it to be perfect, just like this video. I can't wait to have every little thing lined out just so before I start putting my video content out for my YouTube channel, right? If I never start, it never happens. If I keep finding reasons not to start, it never happens. And so that's the lesson I'm taking from that, is it's very important to just start and get something out there. And that's not to say it can't get better. It's not to say you shouldn't strive for excellence, but you have to start somewhere. And that's what I'm taking from that. If you guys get this book, it's the Penguin Books. Great ideas. They have a ton of them. Seneca on the Shortness of Life. It's incredible. It's life-changing. It'll make you think about the way that you're going through life. It's insane. Other than that, I had one more lesson that kind of hit me between the eyes this week. And it's funny, if you watch that podcast or listen to that podcast, but watching it would probably be funnier, because, again, I'm fighting a cold. I was drinking coffee. I was rushing around before, so I got really hot. And I'm sitting there trying not to look like a complete slobbering, snot-filled mess on this video. And I'm not sure I pulled it off. But in the course of the video, the episode, I had this epiphany. We were talking about, why is it that I am so content and so capable of pursuing content creation consistently, knowing that this is a long game. This is something that's going to take me years to fully realize the potential of. But when it comes to something like fitness and weight loss, if I don't get up the next morning after having a good day eating, I get discouraged and I throw in the towel and I blow it all. It's an interesting thing. And so we were talking about this, and the realization hit me is that the reason I'm okay going through life patiently creating content day in and day out, without really expecting or demanding results, being content with results as they naturally occur, is because I made a decision last November. And if you listen to his podcast, last November I made the decision that I'm going to be a creative. I'm going to embrace who I am as a creative. I'm going to embrace my quirks. I'm going to embrace my dorkiness, as my wife likes to say. And I'm just going to embrace it. I'm done hiding behind a facade of anything, any facades. I am actively tearing down facades in my life. And I made that decision in November, started writing. I wrote for a website called medium.com. Immediately within a month, I was a top writer in 4 categories. From there, I transplanted all of my creative energy and effort to LinkedIn. And I went from 67 followers to over 2,800 followers as of yesterday, since January, February of this year. And it's because, and this is after following a long corporate career of mediocrity. Not because I wanted to be mediocre, but because I couldn't crack the code. I couldn't play the game, so to speak. And so to have almost 10 years of corporate career on my resume that was nothing like what I wanted it to look like, no meteoric rise, to, in less than a year, have accomplished creatively and built some of the community that I've been fortunate enough to get connected with in less than a year is insane. It's amazing. And so we were examining this and talking about it. And the number one thing that I can say changed for me is that I began to view myself as a creative. And I said, I'm going to be a writer. I'm going to be a content creator. I owned that title. I am a content creator. You know, like on my LinkedIn profile, it was a weird moment, but I changed my title to creative, mastermind, and storyteller. And since I made that mental switch, I kind of flipped that switch in my mind, it's changed everything. And the reason I haven't been able to make the fitness and weight loss journey successes that I've wanted are because I've never thought of myself. Even when I was in high school and I was an athlete, I never thought of myself as an athlete. I never thought of myself as like a fit person. And so that's something I'm thinking about and trying to figure out if we can learn as people to flip switches in our minds. Like, I am no longer a corporate cubicle dweller. I am now a creative and I'm a storyteller, and see the change that that's brought about. If I can flip that switch, I'm no longer a stereotypical obese American, but now I'm a fit, athletic, outdoorsy type. Like, what would that look like? So that's kind of the journey I'm on. That's what I'm working through. That's a little bit of an introduction to the show. I mentioned jokes, and I heard a joke earlier this week, but I didn't laugh at it, so I forgot what it was. So I'll just make up one of my own to end this episode with some levity. Let's see. If you've never heard of anti-jokes, you should go check them out. You have to kind of watch because they can be super offensive. But, like, I'll just tell a quick, unoffensive anti-joke and see. I wish I could see your reactions because it's always fun. Here we go. So, what is red and smells like blue paint? Red paint. Most of the time, the responses I get from jokes like that are like, "Oh God," or people get mad and throw stuff at me. Either way, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I'm looking forward to doing more. This was really weird, not gonna lie. Me and my camera talking, having a chat. But I hope you liked it. I hope you get some value out of it. And any suggestions, any comments, please leave them. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to like this video for me. Click the bell to get some notifications going on. And I'll catch you next week. Peace out.